Your life, your rules. Unlocked with Huawei Mate 7's advanced fingerprint security on a 6-inch display. Huawei Mate 7. Huawei.
Screens are the most pivotal part of any cell phone, but living in South Africa, we often try using our phones out in the broad daylight, right? We've tried it and we all go like this, oh, I can't see, and you try and move into a shaded area. Well, this is why we did the screen shootout this week, to see which cell phone performed best under harsh African sunlight. Take a look at this. The results will surprise you. It's the middle of the day and we're on the rooftop here at CNBC Africa HQ, and around us you can see we're at the rooftop of Sandton. It's the middle of the day. It's really, really bright. But technology plays interesting tricks on your eyes, especially when you want to use your smartphone out in the open sunlight like we do. And it's often the case where people go indoors or go into a shaded area to use their phones because you can't see your screen. This is the problem with modern day technology. So what we've decided to do today is do a shootout to find out which of the top end smartphones has the best screen brightness so that you can do stuff outside. So the shootout involves 6 devices, from the Sony to the LG to the latest Huawei to the HTC to the Samsung to the iPhone. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a test to find out who has the brightest screen and which is the most accessible phone in bright screen conditions. So what we've done for this test, we've left the screen menu as it is, okay? So we haven't changed anything. All we've done is change the brightness. So we've put the brightness on maximum for this test. So let's start off with the first one. And as I say this, there's a bit of cloud that's come up, which is not a bad thing because you can compare and see what it's like. So this is the LG G3. And as you can see, there's quite a reflection from the sunlight. A little bit difficult to read. Really can't really do much on this phone in the sunlight, but you can see the icons. It takes great cameras, reasonable screen. The icons are quite visible, but it's quite bright, and I'm afraid it's difficult to do anything in bright sunlight with the LG G3. Now, the next one up is the Sony Z3. This is the Sony Z3, and I must say, as you've seen the other phones over here in the direct sunlight, this one seems to be the brightest of the lot. This one and the Samsung Galaxy S6, which we'll get to in a moment. But also, despite it being in the middle of the day, it's also difficult to read. But I must say, I am getting an interesting viewpoint from here, despite it being out in the sun. This is pretty clear. This is the Sony Z3, turned up on full brightness. Next up, we have the Huawei P8. And you'll see that this one's also, mediocre, not the greatest brightness. In fairness, they're all not greatest in brightness in the middle of the day. I can see somewhat what it's doing, but it's interesting, the angle at which you hold the phone, if you move it slightly close to your face and you hold it up like this, directly with your eyes, you get a much better view of what you're doing on the screen. So you can work on these screens if you're in the middle of the day. Try not to change the angle too much away from your face. So this is the P8. You can see the icons, take a couple of photographs, it's reasonable. Now, next up is the Samsung Galaxy S6. This screen, I must say, is probably the brightest of the lot. It's quite easy to read. When I say bright, I'm saying it stands out amongst the others. It's not necessarily the clearest to read in bright sunlight, but it is the brightest out of all of them what we've picked up. We've turned these all on maximum brightness. It's chewing the battery, but I'll tell you about that in a second. But I must say, in terms of workability in the sun, the Samsung Galaxy S6 is probably the most usable one based on these sunny, bright conditions. And the sun's just come out again. The clouds keep coming over and over. But again, look at the angle and how the angle affects your reading as you move it around. So that's the Samsung Galaxy S6. Next up is the HTC M19. This is one of the top-end smartphones as well. I must say the performance of this one is very mediocre compared to the rest that we've tried out. Difficult to say and very difficult to read because it's almost like a bland feeling about it, but it's a completely different picture when you're indoors, okay? And this is where primarily these devices are more designed better to work under those premium conditions. And in fairness, do you sit outside in the sun? Well, depending. If you're doing a lot of selfies, if you're out at a concert, you're out with friends, we do use these phones in bright sunlight. Of course we do. We want to see what the icons are like, but this one doesn't perform so well, but elsewhere it does perform pretty decently. So this is the HTC M19. And last up in our shootout is the iPhone 6. And for this experiment, we've got the iPhone 6, and there's iPhone 6 Plus, which is a bigger one, but we've kind of stayed with the same size phones. Not bad, the iPhone. The screen resolution is pretty decent, but I've noticed that the battery just gets chewed if you put the screen brightness on full on all of these devices, in particular with the iPhone 6. But I must say the screen brightness of the iPhone 6 is not bad at all. So if we had to choose the top 3 out of this lot, it would probably be the Samsung, the Sony, the iPhone, followed by the LG G3, followed by the Huawei. I would say a draw there, but the HTC coming in last in bright sunlight. These are the top ones, and this is how they fare today. So there we go. That is the brightness test of the top smartphones in the market right now.